She pressed 3 crumpled dollar bills onto the counter. Slowly, carefully. The way you handle something you know is all you have. The total came to $3.25. And without making a scene, without a sigh, without letting her voice crack even once, she turned to her 7-year-old son, crouched down to his level, took his small face in both hands, and whispered, "I'm sorry, baby. We'll share one. It'll be enough. I promise." Asterisk. The man behind the counter heard every word. And that moment, that quiet, unremarkable Tuesday morning moment, would change both of their lives forever. Because what Diane Montgomery didn't know, what she couldn't have known, was that the flour-dusted man handing her a paper bag was Nathan Cole, founder of Cole Industries, worth $15 billion, and the loneliest man she would ever meet. The alarm didn't wake Diane that morning. She was already awake. She had a gift for that or a curse, depending on how you looked at it. Lying in the dark, perfectly still, counting the hours until she had to move. The apartment was quiet except for the refrigerator's hum, and the sound of her son sleeping through the wall. That slow, easy breathing of a child who still trusts the world completely. She got up without turning on the light. In the kitchen, she opened the refrigerator out of habit, not hope. Half a stick of butter. 2 eggs. A bottle of syrup running on fumes. She closed it. Diane Montgomery was 34 years old. She cleaned offices from 5 in the morning until noon. Then she waitressed at a diner 4 afternoons a week. On the other 3 days, she babysat for a neighbor family down the street, which paid in cash and occasionally in leftover rice, which her son Caleb loved so much he'd once asked if the neighbor could be his grandmother. Diane had laughed at that for a week. She found $3 in the ceramic bowl by the microwave, a wedding gift. She'd kept it after everything else left, not for the memory, but because it held things. She remembered the bakery on Clement Street. Day-old rolls in the morning. Soft ones. The kind Caleb liked to tear apart. She wrote a note for him, left it on his pillow, and reached for her coat. She didn't know Caleb was already awake. He appeared in the kitchen doorway pajamas, hair pressed flat on one side, shoes in hand, and said, with absolute calm, "Where are you going?" She told him. His face did something so pure she had to look away. "Can I come?" How do you say no to that face? Now, across the city, in a bakery that wouldn't open for another 40 minutes. A different kind of quiet was happening. Nathan Cole was elbow-deep in dough. If you'd told anyone on Wall Street where Nathan Cole was that morning, they would have laughed. This was a man who had orchestrated $14 billion acquisitions, who had restructured an entire logistics industry from a single conference room, who once negotiated a contract worth more than the GDP of a small nation, over a 3-hour dinner in Singapore. And here he was, flour on his arms, jazz on the radio, the smell of something real filling the room. His father had run this bakery for 31 years. Roberto Cole's son of Portuguese immigrants, stubborn as stone, gentle as bread, had made this place with his hands, his mornings, his whole life. Nathan had grown up in this kitchen, had hated it as a teenager, had fled it for business school, and never looked back. He'd sent money. He'd called on birthdays. By every measurable standard, he had been a good son. But good sons don't always come home in time. And good husbands don't always notice when their wives are carrying something they don't know how to say out loud. His wife Miriam had found the lump on a Tuesday. Nathan was in Seoul. The biopsy results came on a Friday. Nathan was in Dubai. The doctor said stage 4 on a Monday morning. Nathan was in New York, but not the right part of it. By the time he truly came home, fully, completely, with nothing else competing for his attention, there were only 4 months left. He did not cry at the funeral. He went back to his office the following week. He sat at his desk for 4 hours, and then he quietly, methodically, arranged for someone else to run his company. He packed 2 bags and came here. That was 6 months ago. He told no one where he was. His assistant assumed breakdown. The board assumed scandal. The press assumed both. Nathan didn't correct any of them. He wasn't hiding, he told himself. He was just learning to be somewhere again. The sign above the door still said Cole's Bakery. His father's name, not his company's. Nobody connected them. He was just a big, quiet man who made excellent bread and didn't talk much. He slid the first tray into the oven at 6:48. At 6:51, the bell above the door rang. Before we go any further, I want to ask you something. Think about a time someone showed you unexpected kindness. when they had absolutely nothing to gain from it. A stranger, a moment, something small that stayed with you. Drop it in the comments. I read every single one, and some of those stories, they deserve their own video. Now, back to Diane. She almost didn't go in. The lights were low. The man inside hadn't seen her yet. She could feel the warmth through the glass door. That specific morning bakery warmth that smells like the world is trying its best. Caleb pressed his nose to the glass. "Mama," he whispered. "Look." She looked. Rows of rolls, golden and full. Almond croissants catching the light. A world of small, affordable luxuries. She pushed the door open. "Good morning," Nathan said from behind the counter. He wiped his hands on his apron and looked at her directly. Not past her. Not through her. At her. She wasn't used to that. "Do you have day-old rolls?" she asked. "Just pulled fresh ones," he said. "These are better." "How much?" $1.50 each. She had $3. She did the math the way she always did. Automatically, invisibly. The arithmetic of a woman who had learned to think in margins. "Two, please," she said. He bagged them. She set the $3 on the counter, smoothing each bill flat with her thumb. Slowly, carefully. The way you handle something you know is all you have. $3.25 with tax, he said. And there it was. That 25-cent gap. 25 cents between what she had and what she needed. She looked at the bills. She looked at the bag. She reached in, took one of the rolls, and placed it gently back on the counter. "Just one," she said. Steady, calm, like it was nothing. And then she turned to her son, and she crouched down to his level, right there at the counter. And she took his face in both hands, those tired, capable hands. And she said, so quietly Nathan almost didn't catch it, "I'm sorry, baby. We'll share one. It's a big one. We'll share it, and it'll be enough." And Caleb, 7 years old, untouched by the weight of what that moment meant, nodded like it was the most reasonable thing in the world. "Okay, Mama," he said. "Can I carry it?" "You can carry it." Nathan had not moved. He was standing completely still behind the counter, and something was shifting inside him. Something structural. The way a wall shifts before it comes down. He had negotiated across tables from heads of state. He had maintained composure in hospital rooms. He had stood at his wife's graveside in front of 300 people and kept his face exactly still. But this woman who didn't make a scene, this woman who apologized to her son instead of the universe, this woman who immediately, reflexively, turned devastation into an adventure. It wasn't pity. He was certain of that, and it mattered that he was certain. It was something else. It was love, doing its quiet, unglamorous work in a Tuesday morning bakery, with no audience and no reward. Miriam used to say he didn't know how to see people. You look past them, Nathan. Even me, sometimes. He put both rolls in the bag. $1.50, he said. She blinked. You said $3.25. I miscounted. He met her eyes. $1.50. She stood there for a moment. He watched her work through it. The pride, the suspicion, the exhaustion that makes charity feel like an insult. He'd been wealthy long enough to recognize that expression. He'd caused it in people before, usually without noticing. He noticed now. I don't need. I make a pricing mistake maybe twice a week, he said flatly. It's not charity. It's bad math. A pause. Then so small he almost missed it. The corner of her mouth moved. She placed $1.50 on the counter. Thank you, she said. Like it cost her something. Like it was real. Come back sometime, he said. The almond ones on Saturday are worth the trip. She took her son's hand. Caleb looked up at Nathan with the frank, unfiltered assessment of a 7-year-old and said, You have flour on your face. Nathan touched his cheek. He did. Good catch, he said. And they were gone. He stood at the counter for a long time after the bell stopped ringing. Long after the next customer came. Long after the bread cooled. Something had shifted. He just didn't know what to do with it yet. She told herself she wasn't going to think about it. She had 2 jobs and a son and a refrigerator that needed attention. She did not have the luxury of thinking about a baker who gave her a discount and looked at her like she was a real person. By the time she got to her first job, she had talked herself completely out of it. By the time she got to her second job, she was halfway back in. The thing about dignity is that it's rare enough that when someone handles it carefully, you remember. Nathan told himself the same thing 14 times before noon. He had a broken proofing rack to fix, a butter delivery to receive, 6 more loaves to finish. He was not thinking about her. He just found himself standing at the window between customers, watching the street, not hoping for anything, just watching. Miriam's voice again, quiet in the back of his mind. You never let yourself want anything small, Nathan. Everything had to be a strategy. You could never just want a Tuesday morning. He went back to work. She came back on Saturday. She hadn't planned to. Or rather, she planned not to, which is different. But Caleb remembered. Children always remember the good things. At 7 in the morning, he appeared at her bedside, completely awake, and said with total confidence, Mama, the almond ones. So there they were. The bakery was warmer this time, busier. The smell of almond paste and butter hit her at the door. Nathan looked up when they came in. Something in his face shifted almost imperceptibly. Not surprise. Something closer to relief. She ignored that. 2 almond croissants, she said at the counter. Good choice, he said. She glanced at the chalkboard menu behind him. Almond croissant $2.75. He charged her $3 flat. She put it down without a word. He didn't say anything either. They both pretended the math was fine. Your name's Caleb, Nathan said, looking at the boy. Caleb blinked up at him. How did you know? You told me last time, Nathan said, which was completely untrue, but delivered with such confidence that Caleb accepted it immediately and stood 2 inches taller. I'm almost 8 now, Caleb said. Big year. I'm getting a bike. Are you? Mama said maybe. He shot Diane a look of theatrical suspicion. She also said maybe about the hamster. We don't have a hamster. Nathan laughed. A real one. Sudden. Low. It changed his whole face. Diane felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. She felt seen. Not managed. Not handled. Seen. I'm Diane, she said. Nathan, he said. It became a ritual without either of them naming it. Saturday mornings. Almond croissants. Caleb eating his in under 4 minutes. Nathan sitting with them in the slow window of time before the crowd arrived, which had happened so gradually neither adult acknowledged it as a decision. Week 4. Caleb looked up from his croissant and asked, Do you have any kids? Caleb, Diane said. It's okay, Nathan said. And he went quiet in a way that wasn't awkward. It was the quiet of someone holding something carefully. No, he said. I don't. Did you and your wife want some? Asterisk. Nathan looked at the boy. Caleb, Diane started. My wife passed away, Nathan said quietly. About a year ago. The table went still. Caleb, with the stunning emotional intelligence of a child who has watched his mother carry pain quietly, simply said, That's really sad. I'm sorry. Thank you, Nathan said. And he meant it in a way that surprised him. Diane looked at Nathan. He looked back. In the weeks that followed, things came out slowly. The way things come out between people who are both a little afraid of needing something. She told him about Caleb's father. Gone 3 years. Not dead, just done. She said it plainly, without bitterness, and he respected that. He told her about his father's bakery, that he'd grown up here, that coming back had been the first decision in years that felt like his. He did not tell her about coal industries. He told himself that was because it wasn't relevant, which was not entirely true. By week 8, Diane was arriving 20 minutes earlier than she needed to. She told herself it was because the bus schedule had changed. The bus schedule had not changed. Nathan started setting aside 2 almond croissants before the display case was filled. He told himself it was just good business practice. It was not good business practice. Caleb had started calling him the bread man with a level of affection that should have alarmed both adults, but instead just made them both laugh. In ways they hadn't laughed in a long time. One Saturday, it rained so hard she couldn't leave after they'd finished. So they stayed. Nathan made coffee. Real coffee. And they talked for 2 hours. In the warm, rain-blurred quiet of an empty bakery. About her mother, who had died when Diane was 19. About Miriam, who had loved terrible reality TV and excellent poetry, and kept both interests completely private from everyone except Nathan. About Caleb's fear of thunderstorms and the elaborate fort-building system they had developed to address it. About what Nathan's father used to say while kneading dough. You can't rush bread. It rises when it's ready. And somewhere in that long, rain-soft Saturday afternoon, Diane laughed so hard at a story about Nathan accidentally selling a wedding cake to the wrong family that she had to put her coffee down, and Nathan watched her laugh. The way she threw her head back, completely unguarded. And he thought, when is the last time I made someone feel this light? When is the last time I felt this light? Asterisk. It was a D's who found it. Diane's neighbor. Sharp woman. Googled Cole's Bakery, Clement Street. After Diane mentioned it for the 4th time in 2 weeks. The first result was a news article from 8 months ago. Nathan Cole, founder and CEO of Cole Industries, steps down amid speculation. Last seen at his late father's San Francisco bakery. There was a photo. A tall man with flour on his arms, caught through a window by a long-lens camera. A D showed up at Diane's door at noon on a Tuesday with her phone in her hand and an expression Diane did not like. Is this your baker? Diane looked at the screen. She didn't come. He knew before he knew. At 7:15, the seat by the window was empty. At 7:30, he was watching the door. By 8, he stopped watching. He put the 2 almond croissants he'd set aside into a paper bag and stood there with it in his hand for a moment. Then he texted her she'd given him her number weeks ago, casually, about a baking question Caleb had asked. Are you all right? 3 minutes. Fine. Just busy. She wasn't busy. He typed and deleted 4 responses. Then he put the phone down, untied his apron, and walked out the front door of the bakery for the first time on a Saturday morning in 6 months. She opened the door because Caleb got there first. Nathan, Caleb said, with the uncomplicated joy of someone who has not yet learned to be complicated about joy. Diane appeared behind him. Her face did several things in rapid succession. You didn't come, Nathan said simply. I know. I brought the almond ones. Nathan, can I come in? His voice was quiet. 5 minutes. Please. She stepped back. He told her everything. Not quickly. Not defensively. He told her about his father's bakery and why he came back. He told her about Miriam and the 4 months and what it cost him. He told her about the company, the penthouse, the leave of absence that was really a disappearance. He told her that the morning she'd walked in with $3 and an apology. She had cracked something open in him that a year of grief had sealed shut. I wasn't hiding who I was from you. Asterisk, he said. I was hiding who I was from myself. You were the first person who made me forget to do that. Asterisk. Diane stood at the counter. I felt like a charity case, she said. You made me feel human, he said. That's not a small thing. That's not something I knew how to miss until I had it. Silence. Then she said, very quietly, you should have told me. I know, he said. Asterisk, I'm sorry. More silence. The coffee was good, she said finally. It's the beans, he said. Nathan. Yeah. Caleb's going to ask if you want to stay for lunch. What are you going to say? She looked at him. I'm going to say yes, she said. This time. She looked for a long time. Then she sat down on the couch. $15 billion. A company with his name on a building. A penthouse. And he had charged her $1.50 for 2 rolls and called it bad math. She sat with the shame of it first. That acidic, specific shame of having been seen at your lowest. By someone who could have solved your problems. Without noticing the money was gone. And then came something colder. He had lied to her. Not about anything she'd asked. But he had let her walk in there week after week. Believing they were equals in their smallness. He had let her feel like the coffee and the table by the window and the laughing. Was something happening between 2 ordinary people? It wasn't. Was it? She did not go to the bakery on Saturday. Spring came to Clement Street. The bakery got a fresh coat of paint, deep cream and warm brown. The colors of bread and good mornings. The sign still said Cole's Bakery. It always would. Nathan hired 2 assistants, which meant he had time to sit at the table by the window. More often than before. Caleb got his bike. It was red. He'd asked for blue. He loved it anyway. He also became, without any formal announcement, a Saturday morning regular. The kind who knew where the aprons hung, and which drawer had the extra chocolate chips, and whose job it was to flip the open sign at 7 a.m. His job, he told everyone. Very seriously. Diane took fewer shifts at the diner. Not because Nathan told her to. She would have walked out of the room if he'd tried. But because she was finishing the accounting certification. She'd started and abandoned 3 years ago. Nathan paid for none of it. He'd made that offer once. She'd looked at him with a patience that could strip paint. He'd never made it again. What he did instead was show up. Tuesday mornings when she had class. Saturday mornings with the table by the window. Thursday evenings when Caleb had a school event and needed a second adult who could pretend with total conviction to understand youth soccer. He was not her rescuer. He was something more difficult and more true. He was her person. The morning it became clear. Not dramatic, not announced. Just undeniable. They were standing in the bakery after close. Flour on her hands. Because Caleb had insisted on teaching her how to braid bread. The way Nathan had shown him. Which he had gotten mostly wrong, but with extraordinary confidence. Nathan was watching her from across the counter. And she looked up and caught him watching. What? She said. Nothing, he said. She tilted her head. He said, carefully, like a man who had learned the cost of not saying things in time. I'm glad you walked in that morning. She looked at him. You have flour on your face, she said. He touched his cheek. He did. Just like that first morning. He laughed first. Then she did. Then Caleb's voice came from somewhere in the back. Are you guys being weird again? And the warmth of it. The ordinary, irreplaceable warmth of a moment that belongs only to the people in it. Filled the whole room. $3.25. That's what it took. Not a grand gesture. Not a fairy tale entrance. Just a mother who loved her son out loud. In a Tuesday morning bakery. In front of the exact person who needed to see it. Sometimes the most important things in our lives don't arrive with any announcement. They just walk in, flour on their face, and change everything. So here's my question for you. And I really want you to think about this one. Is there someone in your life right now who has been showing up quietly, and you haven't fully let them in yet? Drop your answer below. And if this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear it today. Because that's how these stories travel. One person at a time. Just like love.